launch of the book Ramayana, The Game of Life, Stolen Hope by Mr. Shubha Vilas. This is the third book in the Game of Life 6-volume series. Please welcome on stage Chief Guest Mr. Badri Bhattar Swami, Guest of Honor Mr. V.R. Raghunandan and Dr. S. Padmanabhan. We also request Mr. Shubha Vilas to please come on stage. A gold medalist from St. Joseph College, Trichy, fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, comes in the lineage of Sri Kuresa, foremost disciple of the Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, performing the same service as done before 1000 years by Sri Kuresa and Sri Parasara Bhattar at Sri Rangam temple, like reciting Vedas, Tirumanjana Slokas, Kaisika Purana, studied various spiritual scriptures under eminent scholars for 10 years. He has established a trust named Shriman Trust for the social and spiritual welfare of the society by working at grassroots, conducting various activities through various wings of trust. Gives eloquent discourses on various spiritual topics in Tamil, English, Telugu and Hindi. A great motivational and empowerment speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Guest for the evening, Mr. Badri Bhattar Swami. I would request MD of Odyssey, Mr. T.S. Ashwin, to hand over a memento and welcome the Chief Guest. An inventive entrepreneur with records of significant achievements, inventions and creative contribution in electrical and electronics field, specifically in wind energy management. In a career of spanning 3 decades, his contributions have become the current wind energy industry's technology, business and business models. Now he is heading an inspired team of developing SMART, a vertical axis wind turbine that is aimed at providing low cost, easy to install wind turbines. The recipient of CII and Ministry of Commerce Award for Top Individual of Patents in India for year 2014. Recipient of WIPO Medal for Inventors 2015. He is currently the Chief of R&D, Vata Smart Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. V.R. Raghunandan. I request MD of Odyssey, Mr. T.S. Ashwin, to hand over a memento and welcome. He is a professor in Department of Sanskrit, University of Madras. He has also held various positions as chairman in many institutions. He has published 7 books and also published more than 30 articles in various publications. He has guided 24 students leading to their PhD degree and 35 students leading to their MPhil degree. He is currently guiding 14 scholars in PhD and MPhil degree. Has been conducting regular discourses on Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Puranas and other Indian classical Sanskrit texts. Belongs to a traditional family of scholars well versed both in tradition and modern techniques. Honorary Secretary to His Holiness the Jia of Sri Ahobila Math, an organization with 620 years of reputation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest of honor, Dr. S. Padmanabhan. He holds a Bachelor's of Engineering degree in Electronics and Telecommunications. He has completed LLB, specializing in intellectual property law. He began his career with the Tata Group and later joined the international law firm in Bangalore, which he quit to serve the society at large by taking charge of a publishing house, Tulsi Books, which has published over 10 books under his leadership. He now counsels and guides students in the area of leadership, overcoming failures, managing stress and various colleges like IISc Bangalore, BITS Pilani Goa, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, Sydenham College and many more. His leadership seminars are popular with top-level management in corporate houses. He addresses their crucial needs through thought-provoking seminars on themes. He has also been assisting business leaders as their lifestyle coach, conducting regular classes on spirituality and management to help them live a wholesome life. He also helps individuals apply the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana and other dharmic traditions in dealing with modern day life situation. This book is a fruit of his deep study and understanding of lessons of Ramayana as it applies to life today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Shubha Vilas. I would request Chief Guest Mr. Badri Bhatta Swami to start today's session by unwrapping the book Ramayana, The Game of Life, Stolen Book. I would request Chief Guest Mr. Badri Bhatta Swami to say a few words.
आपतापमहत्तारं धातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्. Strength and hope is my feeling to release this stolen hope. It is very rare to see such a good book nowadays. Because when we have some writing skill, that too having some relationship with any publishing house, and that too you have a good marketing skill, means anything you write get name and fame. But it is a must for a book to be authenticated, and it is a must for a book to tell the real truth, and it is a must for the author to express his feelings really in a truthful manner. When I have been invited for releasing this book, I have asked for a copy to check whether this book is authenticated or not, or there is an authenticity in this book. Actually, I have given this book to those who are really eminent in Sri Ramayana and giving pravachanams regularly with Valmiki shlokas quotations, and also comparing that with Kampa-Ramayana. When I have given this book, they returned to me within 10 minutes. So they told me, I have started reading this book, but I can't read this book for more than 10 minutes. I closed it. You have a proverb where you just determine the book by just reading for first half an hour. If it inspires you, then you go on, continue with that. Probably you would have got some other feeling. But the truth is, just by reading for 10 minutes, tears roll down in the ears. They are unable to bear the real epic being shown as a video in the form of book. It was such a greatness, and with such an authenticity, the author has presented Sri Ramayana in this book. Anybody who is able to read the book for more than 10 minutes, I challenge, they have got a heart filled with iron. Such an excellent and really authenticated and very truthful And the right way of explanation has been shown in this book. The Chanakya, one of the renowned politicians or a political advisor, he is a renowned political advisor all over the world. We never know the greatness of our own Indian persons. But he always tells, it is not the fault of the defaulters who try to spread bad things in the world. It is the fault of the right persons who fail to give the right messages to the world. If the lies are spread over the world because the right persons keep mum, 80 to 90% in the world are just truthful listeners or observers. They are not the person who participate in the movement, but they always determine the change. They always believe in the truth. But the sadness in this world is that only those 10% or 20% spread the message of useless things to this world, suppressing the 80% talent, suppressing the likeness of the 80% of the world. Now that scenario has changed because of Sri Subha Vilas. Actually, this book is an imagery where you will not be reading the book, but you will be yourself taken to the Sri Ramayana Aranya Kanda itself. You will be with Sri Rama, you will be with Sita, you will be with Lakshmana, who are wandering in the forest, and you will be enjoying that kind of spread. That is the greatness of this book. The greatness of book is determined by actually making you to think over that book again and again, even you close that book. But here, the books never make you forget Rama and Sri Ramayana. That is the greatness of this book. It will be making you to live with Sri Rama during the age where Sri Ramayana has happened really. I feel this book should be recommended to all the universities and MBAs. If I am an HRD minister, I will surely recommend for this. Do you know why? There are n number of books in management. I am the person who is very much interested in studying, that is book reading. While I am studying BCom in St. Joseph College at Trichy, initially the librarian will be welcoming you. At the time of first year of my college, he will be welcoming you. But at the time of final year, when librarian sees me, he just got frightened. He will be getting frightened. Because he knows that I will never leave the chair till the library is closed. So I will be getting out from the library only at 1 p.m. if library is getting closed at 8 p.m. Only there I have seen so many books by various management authors. You could quote a number of authors. Marketing Management by Philip Kotler, Great to Good Companies by Jim Collins. And there are n number of books that has been presented. I say, actually in those books, there you have got so many management formula, rules and everything has been presented so nicely. You'll be able to see it actually, how a person who is leading a company should have a vision, how he should be able to make or inspire those persons who are working under him. So all these things will be listed. Something is good, that's why it is called as a best-selling book, probably. But the real situation in life is that when you are facing hurdles in your company, you simply forget everything and unable to even remember a single rule that is quoted in the book. Do you know why? Because the real situation forces you to work for the time being rather than putting your mind what has been told in the book. But here you see the trend is reversed here. Here Sri Ramayana where the rules are simply followed by Sri Rama, and when you remember the story or the real life of Sri Rama, then you will be able to deduce the rules from that and you will be able to apply that in your life so easily. You are not by hearting the rules here. You are taking into heart the whole life of Sri Rama into your heart, and whenever you face a similar situation in your life, naturally that rule strikes your mind. Why? Because the same situation you are able to experience in your life. So there the rules could be easily detected, deduced, and you will be able to implement those rules. So that is the greatness of this book than that of any management book that has been told or that has been seen as a bestseller. This book simply follows Sri Valmiki Ramayana. Do you know the greatness of Valmiki Ramayana? We are conducting classes to the Sri Ramayana to the kids all over the world. So around in India we are conducting 155 centers, we are conducting classes, and 1 lakh children are enrolled in that, and we are distributing books and conducting the tests for the children. Why it has started? Do you know? I asked a child, do you know Sri Ramayana? He replied to me, I have never seen such a cinema like that, Swami. So I have taken back. What is this Sri Ramayana? No, actually it has been taken as an excellent film. Earlier, when I was a child, I have seen that. But don't you really know what is Sri Ramayana? He promised me, Satyam, Satyam, I don't know Sri Ramayana. Then I don't have a chance to go inside. Who has written Sri Ramayana? How many shlokas are in Sri Ramayana? See the plight of our country. This Sri Ramayana has been followed and quoted in n number of managerial sessions all over the world, and it has been taken as a lesson in so many universities, including one of the great universities, Harvard and other universities. But the Indian situation is like that. We never know there existed a book called Sri Ramayana. But that book enables us to follow our life so truthfully and so perfectly. That has been very clearly told here in this book, Ramayana, the way of life. I should really appreciate how the author has taken the subtitles. So catchy. The titles are really catchy. And really God has gifted him such a brain to put that kind of catchy titles. And also the greatness of this book is that where the story part is told in the full books, actually the story part is told in the upper part, and you have the rule deduced from that is given in as a footnote. The author has given the rules that has been deduced. Really, one of the excellent thing that we could learn from Sri Ramayana has been taken out by the author. It is as like using juice out of mango. Making a mango juice is really tough. So the author has taken that task and he has done really wonderful thing. So many pages. I have literally noted those things, but I don't like my lecture to be so elaborated. Where the author has quoted on page number 19, 21, 33 and everything in 45, he has quoted about the hope. He has quoted about the giving the feedback. So page number 45 you should remember. Because he has made a note on feedback. Where he has told, if you are the person who are going to give the feedback, first whether you have the authority to give the feedback. Second thing, whether are you having the real motive to give the feedback. Third thing is that, are you seeing the situation, the place, time and the persons who are there before giving the feedback. Probably I am able to follow those 3 rules. I think so. As he has told, while giving the feedback, naturally we need to follow these 3 things. Whether I have an authority. Surely I have an authority because I have come from the place where Sri Rama has offered his prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Ranganatha. Sri Ranganatha has sent me here. So I have an authority on that. Second thing is that I have also got a good motive that this kind of book should spread all over the world. Third thing is that here is the right place. What else will be better place than that of Odissi in Chennai to tell the greatness of Sri Ramayana? Only this is the right place that we have to tell about this greatness of this book. And I would like to tell some few things where he has stated that is the rules have been stated in the footnotes, where the author states that when you have a kind of love towards God, then naturally you will have the feeling of gratitude towards God, and that will lead to you something to serve the Lord. That we could serve, that we could simply see in his form. If you are really motivated and having pure love towards Lord, then that love will force you to go and do something to the Lord. That will have an expression of gratitude. That will not have a feeling of going and begging before the God. Please give me this tomorrow. So today he will ask for a car. Tomorrow he will go to the temple and put 10 rupees and ask God, please give me petrol worth 1,000 rupees. Then third day he will ask for, please give me a standard driver. No driver is standard to me. So this is not the way a person who has got a pure and truthful love will do. A person with that kind of truthful love will always offer a gratitude, having a feeling of gratitude towards the Lord, that you have given me everything, you have given me something unimaginable to me, but what I am doing for you, with all this wealth you have given to me, what will be my sending back to you, will be the feeling of a real bhakta, and with that feeling he will start to serve the Lord as like Sri Shubha Vilas is doing. By serving the Lord, by serving the society, he is able to give something very truthful. Actually, truth is the one which cannot be destroyed or which cannot be taken away from the world. Even anyone, you go and ask the thief, he will always say that I know the truth. Then why is he behaving as a thief? Why is a thief in the society? Because the society is neglecting his needs. Even a most corrupt person, even the terrorist, will have an inclination towards the truth. Because truth is the one which will stand forever. And that truth is Sri Ramayana. In Sri Ramayana itself, Valmiki has clearly told that this truth of Sri Ramayana will be ever. Till what period the Sri Ramayana will survive in this world? That the Valmiki has written, till the mountains are in this world, till the sun shines in this world, till the ocean is there in this world, Sri Ramayana will be there in this world. Like the same, I pray to the Lord that Sri Ramayana game of life should also be in this world till the ocean and mountain and sun are there in this world. That is the prayer that we offer at Lord Ranganatha's holy feet, to make this as a book, as a holy book, in the hands of every individual, from the age of 6 or 10 to the age of 80, 90. Because it shows the ways for each and every one. That is the real greatness. And moreover, we have to appreciate the author, that he has worked very, very sincerely. Because to tell the lie, there is nothing, you need not work anything. It is so simple. Whatever comes into your mind, you just start writing. That's all it will become. Then the book will be over. There is no verification at all. Whether whatever he has told is there in somewhere else, whether there is a proof behind this, nothing. Whatever you have told is just a lie, and lie have got no proof. But to work for a truth is something most important, and it requires a tireless effort that the author has put in, his tireless effort to bring out the real truth that has been hidden in Sri Ramayana. Each and every page is so beautiful. How excellently he is explaining Sri Rama. How excellently he is explaining how Sri Rama and Sita joins together, and how they are able to express their feelings just by sight, not by talking. Nowadays, even talking, wife doesn't understand the feeling of husband. That is the plight of nowadays society. When somebody comes into home, the husband is willing to offer a cup of coffee. And wife says from the room, shh, shh, what? He understands that, oh, not we will give one coffee, we will give two coffee to you. That's all, the coffee will come some or other manner. Wife is actually a real home manager and she will be able to manage and give the coffee. And later on, after the guests leave the room, starts the archana for husband. She starts scolding him, or it is like Sahasranam Archana, where she says, are you unable to understand what I am expressing to you? What kind of expression? Because I am telling you, I am conveying you that there is no coffee powder, so tomorrow you will be able to give. And you are making into your mind that there are two coffee that is going to come. See, what is the plight now we are seeing in this nowadays society? But it is not the case of Sri Rama and Sita. They exchange their views just by seeing they exchange their views. That is that told in Sri Ramayana. It's very great actually. Babuva Hrishta Vaidehi Bhartaram Parishasvaje Tam Drishtva Shatruhantaram Maharishinam Sukhavaham Babuva Hrishta Vaidehi Bhartaram Parishasvaje. Rama, after defeating all the demons, come and shows his bow before Sita. He shows his manliness, that how great I am. See how a great warrior I am. Because he is giving a hidden meaning to Sita. One day Sita has told, before leaving Ayodhya, she has told, my father would have been really fed up with you. Why? Because he has married to a person who is just wearing a man dress but with woman character. This is the word Sita has told Sri Rama in Ayodhya Kanda. You are not the person with manliness. You are not the person, a real warrior. Because Rama hesitated to take Sita along with him to the forest. He told, no Sita, you are not allowed to come to the forest because father has told me only to go. Only I need to go to the forest and you are not supposed to come. Do you know why Rama has hesitated to take Sita? Sri Rama has in his mind that Sita's feet is like that the tenderness of the feet is something more than of the lotus. If it comes to the forest, then what will happen? She has ever lived only in Aranmana. That is a great palace. She never know the forest. If she comes there, then what will happen? So he, on his mind, made it clear that Sita should not come. But Sita, in her feeling, she had a view very clear that wherever my husband is there, that place is actually Swargam to me. If I leave my husband, then that place is Narakam. Nowadays the trend is reversed. Because we don't follow dharmic value, we don't follow the Vedic culture. We don't know the dharma. We know very clearly about adharma. Then how you could get a family happiness? That Rama was having in that mind after defeating the Kara Dushana. He was showing his bow to Sita and he was like a simple lion. After defeating actually his enemy, how a lion stands with majesty. The Rama stands before Sita and he communicates to Sita that earlier you have told a wrong statement about me. Now try to reverse that in your mind. He never showed, he never opened his mouth and communicated. But he made his symbol to make the Sita understand that I am the person who is great in fighting. I am the person, I am the real warrior. And then after seeing Rama with all the wounds, Sita just came first and she has to apply a medicine to her husband. Naturally, a wife should not feel proud or should not feel very happy that when her husband got wounded. If that case, then she is not real wife. Sita sees that her husband has got so many wounds. So she started crying and she just came over near Rama and she gave the best medicine to her husband. Do you know how she gave that medicine? She made an alinganam, embraced her husband. Actually, that is the real medicine Sita has given to her husband. That has been explained. Babuva Hrishta Vaidehi Bhartaram Parishasvaje. Alinganam. Then finally, all these things are explained by Swami Periyavachan Pillai in his Vyakyanam of Sri Ramayana Tanishlokam, one of the greatest commentators ever the world has seen. We are proud to have that kind of greatest commentator who lived in Srirangam and who has given a great commentary about all the 4,000 verses with enormous number of quotations from Veda, Itihasa, Purana. It's very tough for us. In order to search a word, whether that is with correct wording or not, I will go for Google. Now we have only one master, Google Master, to go and refer anything and everything, whatever we have, whenever we have a doubt. But in those times, that is around 800 years before, this Periyavachan Pillai is the person who stored everything in his heart. Sri Ramayana, Mahabharata, anything and everything, you name the Grantha, he will tell the verse with the number attached to that. And he has given one of the excellent and beautiful commentary on the Sri Ramayana. Only selected shlokas he has given in one shloka, where Sita has been abducted by Ravana, and Ravana has kept Sita in his Ashokavana, actually with Shokam. With actually sorrow Sita is there, but the name of the Vana is Ashokavana, and where Ravana comes to talk to Sita, and Sita takes a blade of grass and places before Ravana. A small incident that has happened. Trinam antarata kritva. Just a blade of grass has been taken and placed before Ravana. Actually, we don't see all those, what is the foolishness in this? Why such an explanation? Taking a blade of grass and placing before Ravana. What is the need of it to explain? Why a sloka should be wasted? But Swami Periyavachan Pillai explains that there are 10 hidden meanings for placing, 10 hidden reasons for placing this blade of grass. Do you know why Sita has placed a blade of grass? He explains, Periyavachan Pillai, that Ravana though he is a person doing wrong thing, he is a king. And he should be always respected. And hence, he is offered a seat, that's why she places a blade of grass. Second thing, a woman with chastity will never talk to a person seeing eye to eye. That is a greatness of this Vedic culture. And hence, she has put a blade of grass before Ravana so that it will act as a screen and she will not see Ravana. And she also communicated, the third reason is, Ravana, you are like a grass to me. Understand? That is the way she is giving. That is telling Ravana that you are nothing more than a grass to me. And all these things are being very clearly explained by Sri Subha Vilas in this book. We have to sincerely appreciate. It has been tabled. Why? What are the reasons behind that? Why Rama has taken an oath to kill the Asuras on his own? Why he has not taken the help of Lakshmana? Why he has not asked Sita to be with him during the time of war? There, the author gives the 4 reasons. All the things have been given by the Periyavachan Pillai. So excellently taken and nicely presented by the author. We pray at the lotus feet of Lord Ranganatha to bring hundreds of Subha Vilas to our Bharata Desha. To bring thousands of Ramayana game of life to the whole world, and to bless this kind of book to stay for lakhs of years in this world, and it should spread to all the country and make the people really understand the truth behind that. Whenever a person tries to present something, it is the truth that we need to verify, whether it is an authenticated one or not. That's why we are all suffering now. Everyone in India is suffering by sugar. If you offer sugar, he will say no, because my body itself a sugar producing factory. Do you know why? Because we have defeated and we have thrown away the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture states, if you have a desi cow and when you take the milk from desi cow, that milk is named as A2 milk. And when you take the milk of Jersey cow or other foreign cows, then that is called as A1 milk. A1, the milk name is A1, but it is not an A1 milk. It gives all kind of diseases to you. That's why more and more Indians are prone to diseases. Without inviting, diseases is coming to us because we have given up the desi cows. We are not following what has been told in Vedic culture. The cow urine and the cow dung, this mixed with called as Panchagavya, it cures cancer. It has got a wonderful result to cure the cancer. We have simply forgotten all those things. We read so many things in school and then in colleges. then we finally start confusing in our life, then we go and have a counseling with a psychologist. That is the greatness that we are seeing the present situation of the India. It is really worrisome. We pray at the lotus feet of Lord to make this kind of truthful book which explains everything with greatest authenticity and also with real love to make the people follow the way of Ramayana. The author has told everything, each and every sentence of the author shows us the truthful love of the author and the care he has got over the society. Actually, he is not a soul, he is an elevated soul. He is a gifted soul. He is not like anyone in this world. And finally, we pray at the lotus feet of Sri Ramanujacharya, who is the Guru of Gurus, who is the Master of Masters, who has been Father of the Gods. Selvapillai in Tirunarayanapuram has adorned him the title of Father. Nobody claims the title of Father to the God, who is the Lokapita. But Ramanuja claims that title. And he has given a beautiful explanation in his life. Throughout his life he has served Lord. And let Sri Ramanuja show his divine blessing on this divine soul and make him a good sambandhi and make this world proud of this soul and enable to spread more and more to this world. And if I continue, probably you would have read the book with my speech itself. So that I am trying to stop with this. Though I am unable to stop myself, I feel myself to give more and more what I have read in this book to this audience. But I feel if my talk destroys the purchase of this book, then that is not going to be good. So I try to restrict my want and my feelings and pray to you all to spread a word of mouth to all who are interested to know the truth, who are interested to live a blissful life, who are interested to rule the conflicts in their life, who are willing to face the real crisis and gain success over that, and who are willing to have a good relationships in the family, in the society, in the place of business. Those who are all the persons are the real buyer for this book, and we sincerely pray to you all to kindly go and explain. This is the word of mouth marketing that we need to do for this kind of book, and this kind of marketing will not only offer the person to be a good soul, but will also offer you a good punya of showing a right path to a good soul. And I hope you will also have this kind of feeling. So finally, I complete my lecture with the strengthened hope on the last hope. You will also have this kind of strengthened hope where we always feel whenever we study or read some books or papers, we are just worried why people are not presenting any truth, why they are always telling lies. Now after seeing this book of Sri Subhavilas, I have got a strength and hope that hereafter truth will survive. Hereafter it will grow and it will be spread all over the world. And I have also seen his lectures on Sri Ramayana and management in the YouTube. It is also really nice. We also pray Lord Ranganatha to make him spread this message to the whole world. Thanks a lot for all for giving me this opportunity. And finally, I have talked with an half-baked English probably. If at all, if anything actually is not being conveyed, then probably it should be my fault. But the author's English and every depiction is so great and pure. Kindly buy and donate to all this kind of book. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Would request Mr. V.R. Raghunathan to say a few words.
எனக்கு என்ன பேசுறதுன்னு தெரியல. சுவாமி எல்லாத்தையும் அழகா சொல்லிட்டாரு. அது தமிழாக்கம் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு கெப்பாசிட்டி வேணும். அதுதான் திருமலை என்கிட்ட முதல்ல கூப்பிட்டு ரிலீஸ் பண்றேன்னு சொல்லும் போது எனக்கு சுவாமி தான் சற்று ஞாபகம் வந்தது. ஏன்னா அவரை பத்தி சொல்லணும்னா அவர் நிறைய படிச்சுட்டு இதுக்காகவே சம்பிரதாயத்துக்காகவே வந்து எல்லாத்தையும் பண்ணிட்டு ஒரு ட்ரஸ்ட் ஆரம்பிச்சு குழந்தைகளுக்கு பாடசாலையில இருந்து எல்லாம் சொல்லி கொடுத்துட்டு இருக்காரு. அவர் கூட இருக்கிறதுக்கே பெரிய பாக்கியம். அதனால என்னோட கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் நான் வந்து சுவாமியை சொல்ல அவர் தான் கரெக்ட். அவர் சொன்னா ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சுவாமி அன்னைக்கு ராத்திரி கேட்டேன் போன்ல. இந்த மாதிரி சுப்ரவிலாசன் அவருக்கு வந்து ராமாயணம் போட்டிருக்கார், புக்கு போட்டிருக்கார், நீங்க வந்து ரிலீஸ் பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டேன். அந்த புக்கு ஒரு காப்பி கொடு அப்படின்னு கொடுத்தேன். படிச்சுட்டு அடுத்த நாளே வந்து நான் வரேன் அப்படின்னு ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு, ஆத்தன்டிக்கா இருக்கு, நான் வரேன் அப்படின்னு. இன்னொன்னு என்னன்னா, நேற்றுக்கு இன்னைக்கு 2 நாள் வந்து சுவாமிக்கு வந்து தாம்பரத்துல உபன்யாசம் சாயங்காலம் 6:30 to 8 மணிக்கு. அப்ப என்ன சொன்னாருன்னா, இன்னைக்கு உபன்யாசத்தை காத்தால வச்சுட்டு சாயங்காலம் இதுக்காக வந்திருக்காரு. அப்படி ஒரு பெரியவாள்லாம் வந்து அதை வந்து முழுமுச்சா அதை படிச்சு அதை ஆராய்ஞ்சு அதுல இருக்க நல்லது எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்து நம்மள மாதிரி இருக்கவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் சொல்றது வந்து அப்படி சொன்னாதான் நம்மளுக்கு அந்த புக்கோட மேன்மையே தெரியும். அது வந்து கரைச்சி குடிச்சு இப்ப எக்ஸாம் வச்சா 100க்கு 100 அப்படி அதையும் எல்லாம் கோட் பண்ணி அவரோட ஒரு இதுக்கு வந்து குவாலிஃபைடா யாரும் இருக்க முடியாது. சம்பிரதாயத்திலயும் சரி, பெரிய பாக்கியம் சுவாமிக்கு வந்து இது பண்ணது சொன்னது. அவர் சொன்ன ஒரு வார்த்தையும் அவர் மனசுல இருந்து ஆள் மனசுல இருந்து வருது. அது வந்து பெரிய பெருமாள் பெரிய பிராட்டியார் கிருபையோட அவ அனுகிரகத்தோட வந்த ஒரு வார்த்தையும் அது வந்து அவர் வழியா பெருமாள் பேசுறாரு, அவ்வளவுதான். அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பாக்கியம் கிடைச்சது. அவரே புக்கை பத்தி எல்லாரும் சொல்லிட்டாங்க. ஆனால் நான் ஒண்ணு சொல்றதுக்கு ஒண்ணும் இல்லை. ரொம்ப பெரிய பாக்கியம் எனக்கு. நீங்க எல்லாம் வந்து இவ்வளவு தூரம் பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ண ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ். தேங்க்யூ.
I would request Dr. S. Padmanabhan to say a few words.
जयत्याश्रित संत्रासद्भान्त विद्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योम भास्करः. Good evening, everybody. I deem it as a pleasure to be associated with this function, particularly with Sri Badri Bhattar Swami. It is because my favorite author in the Sri Vaishnava tradition is Parashara Bhatta himself, and Badri Bhattar hails from that glorious family. And that too, Parashara Bhatta, while commenting the Vishnu Sahasranama, he comments on the name Rama like this. He has a partiality and a passion towards this incarnation specifically. And before commenting that, he states, Atha Mrita Sanjeevanam Ramacharitam. The mere utterance of the name of Rama would bring back even a dead person to life. So the name itself was an elixir to all. So it is appropriate that Sri Badri Bhattar is among with us for the release of this function. Secondly, the greatness of Ramayana or the epics, both Ramayana and Mahabharata, is that these epics were listened by the Supreme Lord himself. The occasion when Ramayana was recited was in the sacrifice of Rama itself. After the episode of Rama, after several years, Sita was abandoned in the deep woods. In her advanced state of pregnancy, where she delivered Lavan, Kusha, and Valmiki brought them up. And on one occasion, while he was proceeding to perform the morning ablutions to the Tamasa river, an incident took place. I think they're all mentioned in the Rise of the Sun Prince in the first book. So one of the birds was shot by a hunter, and immediately Valmiki, who witnessed the incident, cursed the hunter, Ma nishada pratishtham tam chasvati magama. So Valmiki's shoka became a shloka. So we say shokaha shlokatvam agataha. Valmiki's emotion came out as a shloka, and he was wondering how he was able to recite that. That Brahma appeared before him. It is because of my grace you have been provided with the art of poesy, and it is destined that you should write the story of Rama. So he provided him the vision, the divine vision, and Valmiki was able to visualize all the happenings that took in Rama's life and penned it down as Valmiki Ramayana. So before penning it down, the incident, the great epic starts like this. So one day, Valmiki saw Narada and questioned him, who is the best person in the world? So he listed out some qualities. Qualities put together, it is very difficult to find it in a single person. So the one answer, for all the questions, it was only one answer from Narada. Ramo nama janaihi shrutaha. You have mentioned so many qualities. And all these qualities could be found only one individual, namely Rama, and he narrated the story of Ramayana in a nutshell. So Valmiki took the clue, and Brahma provided him the vision and the art of poesy. So Valmiki penned it and taught it to his disciple Lava and Kusha. So these children went to the sacrifice of Rama, recited the entire Ramayana, where Rama was listening and got it approved. This is one greatness. That's why we say Valmiki acknowledges Yavat sthasyanti girayaha tavat Ramayana katha loke pracharishyati. As long as the universe is going to survive, the story of Rama and Ramayana will be there. Though it was said to Valmiki Ramayana, it applies to all the versions of Ramayana as well. And we know it was Valmiki's pen that was original, and almost all the languages of our country. And subsequently, we have the Kamba Ramayana, was penned it, and we have Tulsidas Ramayana. All the languages do have, and we have even the Thai Ramayana that is prevalent in Thailand, say in Bangkok. So, all the versions of Ramayana are still in vogue. And now we have this English language as well. Of course, our chief guest has marked several places. Normally, in convention, particularly in tradition, we do not approve or appreciate the tradition being represented in a foreign language. It is only secondary. But nowadays, will it be proper to criticize such view. Sri Vedanta Deshika, while writing the text called Dramita Upanishad Tatparya Ratnavali, he asks, there is a criticism about the mystic outpourings of the Alvars, the Nalayana Divya Prabandham. To comment on that, is it appropriate that the supremacy of the God is being represented in this language? Bhasha, Gita, Prashasta and so on, he is going to say. Then he says, it is the Agastya Bhasha that spun from the divine sage, and it is nothing wrong with that. And moreover, language cannot be faulted with if it is going to glorify the Supreme Lord, be it in any language for that matter. So viewed from this angle as well, this text, Ramayana, by Subhavilas Das, is an excellent presentation, and the language he had chosen is something extraordinary. It's so felicitous. As Badri Bhatter told, anybody who is going to take it up will have no inclination to leave it aside. I have noticed children or even the teenagers taking up Harry Potter's in their hand. They were crazy and perhaps mad enough. I am sure when these teenagers are going to take up Subhavilas Das Ramayana, Harry Potter's will be relegated to the background. There's no doubt about that. Such is the language, so beautiful. We say that the language or the art of poesy was provided by the Supreme Lord or Brahma to Valmiki. And in Vaishnava tradition we say that the divine Alvars were bestowed by the Supreme Lord himself. We say Mayarvara Madinalam Arula Petravar. So the Supreme Lord himself provided them, and I am sure it's no different in the case of Subhavilas. He had divine grace in him to present this. Otherwise, it is not easy to write like this and to condense. To write a book bringing out the essence of the entire chapter or book is very difficult. As we know in the academic tradition, to write a summary of a paper is not that easy, unless otherwise you have a complete understanding of the text. You will not be able to bring out the summary of the text. And if one goes through the text, you will understand. Not only that, he has columned it, what is the salient feature of that particular chapter. There are so many shlokas. Of course, we are not going to deal with that. And one shloka, particularly in this Aranyakanda, where Badri Bhatter has cited Tam Drishtva Shatruhantarsham Maharshinam Sukavaham. And Parashara Bhatta explains the expression Tam Drishtva. Sita saw that Rama. Which Rama? The same Rama which she has been moving along with from Ayodhya down to the Dandaka forest. But Tam Drishtva, he makes a special case. While Rama was to depart to the forest, initially the plan was that Rama will go all alone. But Sita was adamant. I too will accompany you. Rama tried to convince her, no, it's very difficult for you to survive there. You will not find it easy. But she was adamant. And at one stage, Sita became angry with Rama. It is sad that my father gave me to you in marriage. After all, you are a woman in the garb of a man. Striyam Purusha Vigraham. she just made this statement, you are only a man in the garb of a man, woman, you are a woman in the garb of a man. Immediately Rama accepted, okay, you can come along with me. Now, in the Dandaka forest, Rama single-handedly vanquished all the 14,000 demons. So when she came back in the cave to see Rama, she saw that Rama when she was criticizing him that you are a woman. So she felt ashamed, and out of that she hugged her husband. So Parashara Bhatta makes this beautiful statement, Tam Drishtva Satrahantaram. There are so many instances, each and every expression in the Ramayana is very significant. You'll have to see the commentary tradition to understand the import. And you cannot remove one expression trying to substitute with some other expression. This is exactly in the case of Shubha Vilas Das books as well. He has chosen each and every expression so that are so significant, and if you try to replace that, you will fail. It's so beautiful. I am sure this book will find the proper place in each and every family. It is an appeal from all of us that please make it a point to present this book to all the near and dear ones. Ask our children to read this book, all the books. Of course, we are halfway through, and sooner we will be getting the other 3 sections. The Kishkinda Kanda, Sundara Kanda and Yuddha Kanda, I am sure he is on it. And whenever you are going to go for some occasions and try to present, please present this book to everyone. Because it is very essential that the next generation should understand the value. The present system of education, all of us know whether it provides values to our society is a big question mark. So it is mandatory on our part, particularly the elders. They should see that the youngsters are initiated into this tradition and know what is our culture and what are the values that are embedded in them. Finally, a word about the publisher, Jaico, particularly Mr. Akash Shah. Is not here. He's not here. And right from my student days, I have been following several publications of the Jaico Publishing House, and they are the ones who have brought up many Indian classics from Sanskrit to English. I hope they will continue to do so in future as well. I congratulate the publisher and also the author, because they are the one who had nurtured this gentleman for writing this book, and I am sure in future they will continue to do so and bring out many more classics. Not only this Ramayana, I am sure he would also venture on writing the Mahabharata as well, because Mahabharata too is such a beautiful text. Because both of them are going to instruct us about dharma. It is very essential. I once again congratulate the author and the publisher, and I wish him all success in future, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Request the author to talk about the book and share his experience of writing it.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशितारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I'm very humbled to be sitting here today. I am almost become speechless after hearing such great exalted devotees, wonderful personalities speaking about my humble contribution. Very honored and grateful to Padri Bhattacharya Swamiji, Padmarabhaji and Raghunathanji for coming and gracing this occasion and speaking such inspirational words about whatever little I'm trying to do. Of course, after hearing this, I don't know whether there is any relevance or need of me speaking, but unfortunately, since I'm the author, I have to speak something. So I'll try to share something about my thoughts on this book. What I will do is, I'll read out something from the book, which, so you'll get some kind of an essence of what the style in which I'm trying to write. So I'm going to share with you all 2 stories from the book, and the lessons that we derive from the stories, I'll directly read from the book itself. Padri Bhattacharya Swamiji, he spoke about the story of Mother Sita and Ram going through some misunderstanding in the beginning, and then Sita making up for it much later. I would like to read the lessons that are from this episode so that you get to see how it can be practically applied in our lives also. So here is one lesson from the part where Sita hurts Ram by her words, by calling him a woman who is dressed in the form of a man. Here's a very interesting lesson. Words cause mental wounds that don't heal with time, but heal with timely love. Sita, she offended Ram, she spoke those heavy words about Ram 13 years back. And from the moment she spoke those words, she knew that she has to do something to rectify what she did. She was waiting patiently for the right time. Ram also waited patiently for the right time. And exactly when the time came 13 years later, Sita decided to do something about it. And here is the understanding that comes from it. So when Ram killed those 14,000 soldiers and he was standing wounded, he didn't speak any words like Padmanabhanji was saying. He just stood over there with a bow in his hand, completely wounded, and he was expecting Sita to understand what he wants to say. So I will read 2 lessons. First is about what misunderstanding is and how it pains the heart. Misunderstanding is the art of destroying the peace of another through your words, actions, or silence. And here is a lesson on Ram's silence. Subtle communication happens through the language of silence. Ram was trying to communicate that he is waiting for Sita to set right the mistake that she made. And how did he communicate it? By silence. So, I want to share with you all one very interesting story which is very dear to my heart. And that story really inspired me personally at many levels. Today, in today's society we find a lot of people who are dying for a higher cause. That's what the terrorists claim, you know. Everyone says I am dying for a higher cause, and they kill thousands of people, whatever. But what is the meaning of dying for a higher cause is there in the Ramayana. So here are two stories from the Ramayana that actually bring this out very beautifully. The story of when Mother Sita was being kidnapped by Ravana, Jatayu intervenes. So there is a very interesting story about Jatayu's life, which is the background story for why Jatayu intervenes. The background story is that when Jatayu was much younger, he had a brother whose name was Sampati. They were both vultures, very powerful and very big vultures. So when Jatayu, one day he wanted to fly towards the sun, because Jatayu and Sampati both were sons of Aruna, the charioteer of the sun god, and therefore Jatayu, he always had this inspiration seeing the sun, and he wanted to fly towards the sun. One day he was flying at a rapid pace towards the sun. At that point of time, Sampati realized, his brother realized, that Jatayu is going to fall in trouble. Being an elder brother, he started chasing Jatayu and trying to save him. And just when Jatayu reached a very high level where he was going to be scaled by the sun's heat, Sampati jumped ahead and spread his wings and actually put himself over Jatayu, saved Jatayu. In the process, the heat of the sun burnt Sampati completely. His wings were charred, literally. And the impact of the heat of the sun was so powerful that Jatayu and Sampati both fell off, and they fell in different directions. Sampati landed towards the Indian Ocean, literally, and Jatayu landed in Nasik, Panchavati area. They never ever met before, after that. But Jatayu learned a very important lesson in life from that. He learned that in one word, if you want to know what life is, life means sacrifice. So when Sita was being kidnapped by Ravana, and Sita was shouting and she saw Jatayu, the only thing she told Jatayu was that, give the message to Ram that I have been kidnapped by Ravana. She told him, you're old, you don't have the power to compete with Ravana, don't even try it. Jatayu was thinking, what kind of a person will I be if I sit here and don't even try saving Mother Sita? His conscience didn't allow him to sit. India needs to learn from Jatayus. When a woman is being mishandled, a bird in the very times cannot sit. And today, human beings sit quietly. That's the unfortunate state, because we don't read the Ramayana. Jatayu sacrificed his life. But while dying, he, of course, the main mission or the main service that Sita gave Jatayu was to give the message. Many times, people do the secondary service, they forget the primary service. Jatayu he tried his best, on the process, he lost his life. But he didn't forget to give the message. He held his breath till Ram came and he passed the message to Ram and then he died. Interestingly, in the Ramayana, we find some time back, Ravan goes to Marich, his own uncle, and inspires Marich to go and help him kidnap Sita. And while he's inspiring Marich is, of course, very scared of Ram because he has had 3 encounters with Ram in the past. And two encounters in the past, and this is the third one. The 2 of them have been deadly. So for him, the moment he hears the word Ra, he starts trembling in fear. Even if he hears the word Ravan, he remembers Ram. That's the extent of fear that he is instilled. When Ravan tells Marich to help him kidnap Ram's wife, Marich gives him a big lecture. But Ravan, of course, doesn't listen. Ravan tells him you have 2 options. Either you die now in my hands, or you die in the hands of Ram. So most people who misunderstand the Ramayana, they feel that Marich is a great soul because he didn't want to die in the hands of Ravan, he died in the hands of Ram. But look at the irony. When Marich died, the last words he chanted, in the voice of Ram, he chanted the names of Lakshman and Sita. If he actually was loyal to Ram, he should have chanted the name of Ram while he died. This shows what is really martyrdom. This shows what is really dying. And I'll read out from the lesson in this book. Marich had superficially worn the dress of a renunciant, but had never taken any guidance for practicing his spiritual life. If he were really loyal to Ram, he would have died at the hands of Ravan, like Jatayu. Even if he had decided to die in the hands of Ram, he shouldn't have mimicked Ram to call out Sita and Lakshman. Instead, he should have chanted Ram's name. By dying at the hands of Ravan, Jatayu served the interest of Ram. And by dying in the hands of Ram, Marich caused great inconvenience to Ram. For his martyrdom, all Marich got was abandonment. Ravan never returned to claim his body, nor did he care to assign someone to do it on his behalf. Ravan always used people for his selfish purposes. Even though Marich was his uncle, roles didn't matter to Ravan, only goals did. For his martyrdom, Jatayu received appreciation. Ram took care of Jatayu in his final journey. Jatayu was a vulture and not even a relative. But Ram did for him what any son would do for his father, even though, ironically, Ram could not do it to his own father. For Ram, all people mattered a lot, irrespective of how small or big a role they had to play in his life. Ram always gave more than he received. Essentially here, we learn such beautiful lessons from the mindset of Jatayu and Marich. The Ramayana is very easy to misunderstand if not guided by great acharyas. If you don't learn it in the right parampara, if you don't learn it from the right teachers, we'll be like Marich, thinking that dying in the hands of Ram is better than dying in the hands of Ravan. Consciousness while dying is more important than action while dying. I'll end with a very small story, but a very beautiful one about the forest experience of Ram, Lakshman and Sita. Ram, Lakshman and Sita, they remained in the forest of Dandakaranya for so many years. Now, most of the understanding of the stories of Ramayana that we have has hardly anything about what they did for 13 years. In these books, I've tried my best to bring together folk tales, which is known as Loka Praman, which is in alignment with Valmiki Ramayana, which actually gives us a lot of beautiful insights about what Sita, Ram and Lakshman did in the forest. And here are one or two instances that give us some beautiful understandings. When Sita was in the forest, she, in the beginning, first few years, they had to really go through a lot because she didn't know the ways of the jungle. And over a period of time, she learned everything about jungle life. And here are some things that we see Sita doing. At some point, Sita learned so many things from the animals in the jungle. She learned how to extract honey from honeybees, honeycombs, without being bitten by the honeybees. She learned how to milk a tigress after the cub had drank milk. She learned from the bears how to find, how to extract this honey. She learned from elephants how to find hidden sources of water on top of mountains. So many beautiful things she learned just by studying and observing nature. The delicate Sita, who didn't know what a jungle is explained in the Ramayana that when Mother Sita left the Ayodhya along with Ram Lakshman, she didn't know what a jungle was. She kept asking Ram, have you reached the jungle? They left the palace. Outside the palace, she's asking Ram, have you reached the jungle already? They just crossed the borders of Ayodhya. She's asking Ram, have you reached the jungle already? Ram was totally bewildered. She didn't know what a jungle was. She was so innocent. It is explained that the sun had never seen her form. The moon had never seen her form. Her lotus feet was so delicate that she would wear golden sandals and walk. The earth had never touched her lotus feet. That kind of personality, she's walking in the forest. And while she's walking in the forest, some very interesting episodes happened, which I will end with. The way in which Ram, Lakshman and Sita would walk in the forest is that always Ram would walk ahead, Sita would walk in between, and Lakshman would walk behind. When the sages would see the three of them walk, they would actually feel that Om personified is walking. O represents Ram, because anything first, the first alphabet represents the Supreme Lord. U represents the energy of the Lord, and Ma represents the Guru, the spiritual master, which is Lakshman. When Ram, Lakshman and Sita were walking in the forest, interestingly, there is a very sensitive way in which they walk. When Ram walks, his footprints are there. Sita is walking behind Ram. She doesn't step on the footprints of Ram. She carefully avoids the footprint of Ram because she considers the footprint of Ram to be worshipable. Anything connected to the Lord is known as Tadiya. Anything connected to the Lord becomes worshipable. Therefore, she doesn't want to stamp on the footprints of Ram, and she walks keeping the footprints towards her left. Because the heart is toward the left, she would keep the footprints towards the left and she would walk aside. And Lakshman would walk behind Sita. He would not stamp on the footprints of Ram and Sita, and he would walk keeping both their footprints on his left. Can you imagine what kind of sensitivity is there in the dealings between the three of them? In life, it is very easy to develop disrespect, especially when you are living with people. And therefore, it is very important to understand what these footprints represent. On one level, the footprint represents the mark of the lotus feet of people. For another level, footprints also represent ideologies, principles. Principles by which Ram lived his life. That's his footprint. Sita didn't want to stamp on those footprints. That means not care for those ideologies. But rather she decided to keep those ideologies in her heart and respectfully deal with them. The easiest thing for Sita is to stamp on Ram's footprints because surely there are no thorns there. If she just stamped on Ram's footprints and walked, no thorn would have pricked her. If Lakshman had stamped on the footprints of Ram and Sita and walked, no thorn would have pricked him. So already the thorn would have gone in somebody else's life. But the two of them showed such sensitivity, they didn't care for their inconveniences, they care for the relationship. And therefore, here is a very beautiful lesson that we can learn from that episode, and I'll stop here. When two countries fight, a LOC or the line of control is created to restrict entry. When two people fight, there is a LOR or line of respect. When the LOR is crossed, the fights begin. Important relationships should be preserved judiciously like priceless jewels. When one mistakes priceless relationships to be artificial jewels and treats them as those, one crosses the LOR. Love is an observational science, and therefore Ram, Lakshman and Sita, the kind of love that they exhibited between each other during the tough times, the 13 years that they stayed together in Dandakaranya forest, actually shows what relationships are during tough times. It's very easy to maintain relationships when things are going happy, normal. But when things get going very tough, that's the time that the substance of the relationship is tested. Therefore, Ramayana is a book which can teach us so many wonderful lessons about life. Therefore, I called it as Ramayana, the game of life, which teaches us how to live the game of our life. Thank you very much. I'm very honored and grateful to such illustrious personalities for coming here and showering their blessings on me. Now, I have some hope that I can finish.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for question. If you want to ask the author any question, you can raise your hand. We will send the mic to you.
Congratulations, Prabhu Vilasji. Subra Vilasji, sorry. As Swamiji was telling that this Ramayana will replace the Harry Potter. Really it did for my daughter. She used to sleep with me. But it went on for 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That's why I brought her here. So you stand up. You stand up and go to you. So this is an example of that whatever the Swamiji said. That Subra Vilas book has replaced the Harry Potter.
have a different version of what Harry Potter represents. It should actually be Hari Puttar. Puttar means child, you know.
That's right.
So Ramayana is definitely something that talks about Hari.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Secondly, that's I want to have a little question. The recent past, I have developed or came to understand that the life is happening right now. This moment, the life is happening. We have read many things in Mahabharata or in the 6th chapter of our Krishna's Gita. The life is happening right now happening. Then, what way these lessons of Ramayana will help us to understand this concept that life is happening right now?
The problem in human society is that human beings tend to live in the future and live in the past. Lamentation for what has happened and hankering for what is to come. If we study the Ramayana, Ram had every opportunity to do that. The 13 years of their stay, they could have spent lamenting about the past. Instead, if you study the Ramayana, they never spoke about the past. In fact, they always focused on the present. And the same Ramayana in the Balakanda talks about Vishwamitra's story, where Vishwamitra develops a hatred towards Vashishta. And the hatred goes to such an extent that Vishwamitra gives up his kingdom, gives up his occupation, gives up his duties, and completely focuses on his enmity towards Vashishta. Vishwamitra chose to focus on the past. One incident in the past remained etched in his mind that completely covered his present. And here we find in the Ramayana such a powerful incident in the past that Ram went through, he never focused on it. But every time Lakshman or anybody would find fault with Kaikeyi, immediately Ram would chastise them and correct them because he didn't want to focus on the past hatred, but he wanted to focus on the present growth.
Great. Is there any lesson or conveyed in this aspect? Wonderfully, I'm convinced. Is there any lessons on these lines with regard to this particular?
There are many lessons. I have to find them.
It's all right. If it is not so, I request you to have the next book at least.
It is definitely there.
Okay.
It's already, because I've written already 3 books.
Yeah, I know.
And each book has at least about 100 lessons.
With regard to not to lament about the past.
There are many lessons about that.
But my request would be in the future
Yes.
to say that don't lament about past in each and every lessons.
Yes. Right.
I'm coming for the 3rd book. I'm in the year for. I'll be there for all the books as well.
Thank you.
Yes, Namaste.
Please do share your experience of writing. How was your experience? Some glimpses of it.
Honestly speaking, when I started writing the series, I never ever thought what is going to happen in the future, basically. I'll tell you why I started writing. You will be happy to know. I teach in a school called Goba's Garden. This is a school run by our temple community. We have a few hundred children who are all connected to parents who have some devotional background. I one day went to the library of that school to just see what kind of books the children study. I was totally shocked. Here is a school which is supposed to be running according to Vedic values, but unfortunately the library is filled with garbage books. The reason the library is filled with so many books is because we don't have any alternatives to give them. They need to read English, they need to read voraciously, but unfortunately nobody has provided them the right books, therefore they are reading the wrong books. So for me, that was the shocker. That day I decided to start writing. And I started writing the Ramayana just to write a book for the children in the library. But when I wrote the first chapter, second chapter of the book, I showed it to some very exalted personality. And they found it to be really good. They said we should definitely try for mainstream. And that's where the story of writing began. Before I wrote the Ramayana first volume, I have never in my life written one word. No article, no essay, no book. The first thing that I ever wrote is the Ramayana. And interestingly, my experience of writing the Ramayana has been extremely good. Personally, I'll tell you what is. I don't know about the success of the book. I don't know about how much it's going to affect other people, but it's definitely affected me. It has helped me study the Ramayana intensely, and it has helped my meditation on the Supreme Lord intensely. I don't know whether it can really help others. If it does, it's great. If it doesn't, I don't mind, because it's definitely helped me on an individual level. And one thing that I would also like to share with you about my writing is that after I have written, the way in which I have been writing the book is that I've been typing it directly on the computer. After I finish a chapter, I send it to the editor. I never ever look back in the chapter even once.
So here is
Gone is gone. So I think it's the blessings of great saintly personalities like these that have actually helped me write. I don't know whether I have any qualification to write the Ramayana, something as exalted as the Ramayana. I always feel what Kamba talks about when he writes his book. When Kamba Muni he writes the Ramayana, he says Valmiki's Ramayana is like an ocean of milk. And Kamba, he finds himself to be like a cat going and trying to drink that ocean of milk. How much can a cat drink? If Kamba is saying that he's a cat, I find myself to be like an ant. One drop is enough to drown me. That's my experience of writing.
Sir, I am Professor Ramakrishnan. தமிழ்ல கம்ப ராமாயணத்துல வந்து இந்த ஸ்டெப் சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா, அதாவது ராமர் கால் மேல இது படக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி தனியா ஸ்டெப் எடுக்கிறாங்கன்னு சொன்னீங்க. But I remember that Kambar says Rama has put a step in such a way so that all the thorns, whatever it is there, it gets in his, so that her foot will be. Is it? But it is contradictory in Valmiki. Can you explain that, sir?
It's not contradictory in one sense, because Ram, when he does that, he does it with the right intention. But it doesn't mean that Sita uses that step. Ram is trying his best to create a path that Sita and Lakshman never get hurt. But whether Sita actually used that path that Ram created to step over, that someone never really explains.
So both their intentions are different.
Right, yeah. That's the beauty of husband-wife relationships. The reason Ram didn't want to take Sita to forest is because he didn't want to inconvenience her. And the reason Sita wanted to go to the forest is so that she can help him deal with his inconvenience. That's what relationships are for.
Any more questions? Any more questions?
How do we counter various versions which are misinterpretation of facts or not in the right spirit?
Thank you for this question. It's a question that is a burning question for me also. And I don't know if you all have heard. The question is, how do you counteract the twisted and the wrong versions of Ramayana that are there in the market? I started writing 3.5 years back. 2013 Jan, the first time I started writing. And now it's July 2016. Sorry, February 2016. 3 years approximately. When I started, there were so many books that were having unauthentic or twisted versions of the Ramayana on the bookshelves in different stores. But now, after 3.5 years, there are at least 3 books that have authentic version. So I went recently to Pune in one bookstore, Crosswords, where I was having a book launch like this similarly. And I was very happy to see that the 3 books that I have written, the first 3 volumes of the Ramayana Game of Life series, have been listed in the bestseller category. And they are on the same shelf where all these twisted versions are also there. So if a layman wants to see, he gets to choose between a twisted version and an authentic version. I think the only way to counteract the twisted versions and non-authentic versions to be in the market is that the only way to counteract is by placing a lot of authentic versions in the shelves. That's my
if I am permitted to answer this question as an academician, there are several ways of approaching this problem of authentic version. In order to distinguish the original from the duplicate, first one has to understand the original. Must be able to distinguish the original from the duplicate. First thing. I can cite one instance. Take the story of Ramayana itself that has been referred to by various persons in tradition. When Valmiki wrote Ramayana, it was after a very long time of Rama's life story. And there were many anecdotes connected with the life of Rama. One such instance was referred to by Periyalvar in his Tirumazhi. While Hanuman goes to find out Sita in that, he narrates some of the instances that could recognize him as a real messenger of Rama. One such instance that was cited by Hanuman was that Yelliyambod Inidirithal Mallihamali Kondu Arthadum or Adayalam, he says. When both Rama and Sita were in their private chambers, they were playing a game. And the condition was that whoever is going to lose the game, the other person will tie the hand of the person, and that the other person has to be wakeful throughout the night. This is the condition. So in that game of dice, Rama lost the game and Sita won. As per the Rama, because he is a Satyasandha, Ramodhirna Vibhashate, it says, he won't speak for the second time. So as per the condition, he requested Sita to tie his hand. But Sita was alarmed. So it's only a lighter wine condition. But Rama insisted. So what Sita did is to tie his hand and she went to her bed. Throughout the night, Rama was sleepless. When Sita woke up and found her husband waking, she was alarmed and she apologized. But this instance find the place in the Divya Prabandham of Alvars. Many such instances are noted down in many versions of Ramayana. But which exactly is the correct version? Nobody, because as I said, Alvars were provided the divine vision by the Supreme Lord himself. So this anecdote might have occurred to the Alvar's mind and he noted that. And Valmiki would have felt it's enough because he is going to say the truth, but he is not going to digress the story aspect. And he had narrated as such. This is one such instance. And in this regard, one of our professors has written the different versions of Ramayana, and you can find as many as some 33 versions of Ramayana available in different languages. And some may find it contradictory. And over a period of time, there are so many interpolations and additions to the original text, thereby correcting the text as well. So it is necessary to understand the original from the duplicate. And as I could see, Shubha Vilas Das' text is highly authenticated, that I can definitely say.
We just have one.
First of all, I want to congratulate Shubha Vilas for the brilliant book. I must say the review today was really mesmerizing because I never sit through a book launch. First of all, throughout. I think the review was really mesmerizing. I want to know what are the other 7, so I'm going to buy the book.
Read the book. We just have time to take one more last question if anybody is. science of giving feedback. It's a question from me, which interested me a lot. I think this book should go to all the mainstream media nowadays who are constantly giving, and
That's right.
so it will really help that we get the right content. And so my thing, whether I do something else or not, but this book I'll surely sell it to all the media, mainstream media people. All right. On behalf of Odyssey and Jaico Publishing House, we would like to take this opportunity to thank Chief Guest Mr. Badri Bhattaswamy for accepting our invitation and we would also like to thank guests of honor Mr. V.R. Raghunathan and Dr. S. Padmanabhan for being here. And last but not the least, we would like to thank Mr. Shubha Vilas to keep writing and keep inspiring us. We would also like to thank all of you who patiently sat and not even a single moment while the conversation was going on. It was really unbelievable. We hope that you have enjoyed the event as we have done hosting it. We have the books for sale here. Anybody interested can pick it up and get it signed by the author. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.